Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation startups, the future. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you'll be notified when a new show pops up. And if you are listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe. And please drop a note on Apple Podcasts if you like the show. Greatly appreciate it. So, I was reading up on the latest and greatest information on AI. And I have a lot of faith in AI. I think AI, as long as it's used correctly, can do so much more for us. So much more for us. And being more optimistic about the future, other than my compatriot futurists who think that AI will destroy our jobs or destroy our livelihood, I think they're completely wrong. And this reading I've done recently has basically validated that fact. I've read article after article after article, research after research after research on AI, the current state of AI. And I didn't realize how far behind we were. AI is in terrible shape. Terrible shape. It is really dumb. It is way dumber than you think. We all have these visions of these intelligent robots taking over our jobs, when intelligent robots can barely do a thing. They have to be trained and trained and trained and trained over and over and over again to be able to do a simple task. And when you give them something new to look at, they don't know. For example, computer vision. Let's say an example that we've been able to program a computer to determine the difference between a bus and a car, right? Here's a bus, here's a car. Show a picture of a bus. Oh, it's a bus. Show a picture of a car. Here's a car. Not a problem. But what if you took that picture and you turned it sideways? A bus on its side. Computer stumped. Totally stumped. Has no idea what that is. It's not a bus. It's not a car. What is it? Something else. The state of computer vision is so poor that it can't even detect an orientation change in a photo. The state of deep learning is so poor that when you teach a device a specific task, that if you try to feed new information into that device, it forgets all the old task and isn't able to do the old task anymore. It's not like the human brain where you can layer task on top of task on top of task, and we can actually take bits and pieces of old tasks and move them into new tasks. It can't do that. It doesn't have the capability of doing that. Deep learning, machine learning, federated learning, none of those things have the ability to do that. In fact, it's entirely possible that we may be heading towards another AI winter. And if you recall what AI winters are, it's when we finally got to the point where we realized that even though there's a lot of hue and cry about where AI is going and what's happening with it and the potential of it, we get to the point where the problems are really hard. The problems are really hard, and we need another breakthrough, because we've gotten to the point where we can have AI do simple tasks, but it can't learn. It can't do more. It can't go beyond. And I think that's the key here that a lot of people are forgetting, is that human beings, our brains are so elastic and pliable. We have the ability to learn and do all sorts of things in a fraction of a second. Whereas it takes AI tons of time and effort and money to teach to get them to that point. I think I was reading somewhere that you probably read that AI bested the best Go player, and AI bested the best StarCraft 2 player. But did you realize that to get to the AI to the point where it can best the best StarCraft 2 player, they had to invest $35 million worth of time and effort and people's and resources to get the AI to the point where it would be able to master a relatively simply ruled computer game. Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane? So a ruled game like Go or StarCraft 2 or even Warcraft or any of the World of Warcraft or any of these games that people have created, which are mini worlds, They're mini worlds with very little information. They do not map to the real world at all. It takes a lot of time and effort to train your AI to even do a small task in these mini worlds. Imagine the kind of effort required to take an AI and put it in the real world and have it learn and understand and see what it needs to do in the real world. It can do perhaps a single task that you've given it to do. But if you say something like, if you take a robot that has the ability to clear a road of debris, and you said to the robot, go clear the road of debris, it has to try and figure that out. It could take hours and days and weeks to try and figure out how to move one branch, because it's so difficult for it to understand how to do this. It needs to figure it out from scratch. We can give it some rudimentary information, but then it has to figure it out, and it'll take forever. Whereas a human being can just walk up to it and do it. I mean, they've done studies comparing taking a robot and giving it the simple task of setting a table. Now, a human being can start setting a table from age, what, 6, 7, 8? You teach your kids how to set a table without even breaking glasses. But a computer, a robot, setting a table, it's almost impossible for it to figure out how to do that, even with federated learning. So I think a lot of people are overstating what AI can do. And not what it can do specifically, because sure, there are specific tasks that AI can be applied to that are very, very focused, that AI works well with. But for everything else, we need human beings to step in and do the work. Because if it wasn't for that AI may be able to zero in on that specific thing, but we always need the human mind to come in and work. Now, this is what I've always said, is that we don't have to worry about AI taking our jobs, because AI still, even in its final incarnation, even 10, 20, 30 years from now, I doubt that we'll be able to rely on AI fully to do anything. We still need human brains in the equation to do these things, which is why I feel that we're going to get to the best point. We're going to get to the point where the AI does the thing that the AI can do best, and the human does the thing that the human can do best. And we should look at a world where both AI and humans are fully employed to the best of their ability. We're not trying to replace humans with AI, and we're far from getting anywhere near that. But even if we were closer to that, we should always be looking at AI improving the life of humanity, working with humanity, and not replacing humanity. That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.